for Cal Davis and Ken O'Brien, right? Joe Montana went in the 3rd round. Kurt Warner, undrafted free agent. Peyton Manning, people have to league like Ryan Leaf over him until Bill Polian to take him number 1 overall. Matt Ryan. Jake Long went ahead of Matt Ryan. They took him so far, so Shannon Henny over Matt Ryan. Pocket guy. How'd that work out, right? Drew Brees, 2nd round. Chargers, then Miami didn't take him. Goes to New Orleans, right? How'd that work out? Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Kirk Cousins, 4th round pick. They're all traditional drop back pocket passes. I didn't mention the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, 6th round pick. So just think about that list. The NFL didn't like him back when Johnny Unitas came out of Louisville. They didn't like him now. It can burn 9 out of 10 times by passing one of these guys.
Look, I don't know if it's that the NFL doesn't like him. I think the NFL is saying that those quarterbacks, maybe like Shedeur Sanders, they don't do anything special. So we talked about earlier in the show about people getting wild with the off-platform throws and all these different things. Shedeur Sanders plays point guard from the pocket, and maybe they're not valuing that in the 1st round now.
But you know what, Boog? He does do something special. The first thing that quarterback whisperers, guys who we respect the most as far as developing quarterback, that the first thing that they talk about when they're talking about what does it take to play quarterback at a high level in the NFL, they don't say wild throws. They don't say great traits. They say exactly what you said in your own highlight. Decision-making.
Yes.
Accuracy. That's what they say. Shedeur has made great decisions in the pocket, outside the pocket. When he's getting his head knocked off, he's made great decisions. He throws the football with accuracy. The whole arm strength thing, I mean, come on. Look, how many times? He's a nice passer of the football. It's as simple as that. He just is. What this comes down to, look, I'm going to try to look at this from a team's perspective, right? Every team likes, teams like players. It's just a matter of what price do they want to pay, right? So they figure for him, if we're judging the landscape right here, we don't need to pay top 15 prices, top 20 prices. Heck, we may not even need to pay 4th round prices. Does that mean I agree with it?
But they need quarterbacks, though.
You're right.
The most important position.
Hey, they're taking, all the teams that are passing on them right now, as Mel just mentioned, are taking a gamble. They're taking a gamble. The teams who need a quarterback, and if you pass on him and he winds up having a Drew Brees type of career, a Tom Brady type of career, which he's totally capable of. You're going to sit back and teams are going to, there's going to be a lot of revisionist history on him.
I get that.
There's going to be a lot of case studies done on why did people pass on him? Was it because they thought he was cocky? Was it because of his dad? Was it because he was too brash? All the other nonsense that you hear. Because it isn't because of how he plays the game.
I agree with you.
It's not how he plays the game.
All right, we have only had one quarterback selected. We have only had one trade made. If Shedeur Sanders was going to get drafted here, it would have to be a trade because Justin Herbert is going to be the quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers. So I said that facetiously. Obviously, this is.
For more on the draft, let's welcome in Booger McFarland from Green Bay. Booger, it's the question of the night, so we have to ask you, too. What do you think happened with Shedeur Sanders?
It's amazing how the NFL views these quarterbacks. If you can't do the wild things anymore, if you can't throw the off-platform throws, if you can't throw the football 70 yards down the field, they don't necessarily view you maybe as a first-round quarterback. I think that's what the NFL says. I disagree. I think Shedeur Sanders should have gone in the 1st round. He does the thing that a quarterback needs to do, and he does them well. Makes really good decisions, throws the football accurately, has good timing. I think he should have been a 1st-round pick, but I think the NFL is telling us they want wild things like they did with Cam Ward with their 1st-round quarterbacks, and they're saying Shedeur Sanders just doesn't do that for them.
All right, so it'll be the story of the 2nd round or even into the 3rd round if he doesn't go then. Booger, we talked with Louis Riddick about the top 10. We'll talk to you about the players who went a little bit further down. Which pick do you like best outside of the top 10?
How about the Atlanta Falcons taking James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher from Tennessee? They've been trying to find pass rush for over a decade, ever since Vic Beasley. They took Jalen Walker earlier, and now you come back later in the round and you get James Pierce Jr., 6'5", 260 pounds. He runs 4.4, Stan, coming off the edge. So you talk about all the tools, all the traits, his ability to play with power, to play with speed. Finally, maybe just finally, the Atlanta Falcons solved their pass rush need with James Pierce Jr.
And as a Saints fan, I'm really glad that they went with Kelvin Banks Jr. to try to protect that edge from those guys. All right, Booger, as we look ahead to round 2 on Friday, give me 3 players who you think are going to be really value picks in round 2.
Well, I'm going to start with number 1, the obvious pick, and that's Shedeur Sanders. I think he's was the best quarterback in this draft because he does the things that we talked about. Accuracy, plays with poise, and makes really good decisions. And this draft was thought to be a draft that was going to be heavy with defensive ends and heavy with defensive linemen. And there's two I like really in particular, and that's Donovan Ezaraku from Boston College. A little on the shorter side at 6'2", 240 pounds, but long arms, 16 and a half sacks. That was second in the nation last year. And then for me, I think second of all, you look at a running back like Travion Henderson. You talked about the impact that Jahmyr Gibbs had in Detroit. What about Travion Henderson as kind of being a Robin to someone's Batman? I think he could be an impact player. To me, those three can make really, really good impacts for teams next season.
Yeah, Henderson, a really productive career at Ohio State. Yeah. All right, Booker, we'll be looking for you on round 2, and we appreciate the input.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Dan.
SportsCenter on the Road is presented by Geico. Get more with Geico.
Our colleague Phil Yates also chiming in. He still sees some talent on the board, including 2 of his pre-draft top 12 players in Will Johnson and Mike Green. Shedeur Sanders was 16th on this board entering the night, but as we mentioned, he slipped into at least the second round as well. And Louisville's Tyler Shuck is one of the best left as well. Titans hope they have their long-term answer at quarterback now after drafting Miami's Cam Ward with the #1 overall pick in the draft on Thursday. They had hoped that Will Levis would settle into that role last year under first-year coach Brian Callahan, but Levis got hurt, then he got benched. So now they're counting on Ward. Here he is with Jeff Darlington.
Titans GM Mike Borgonzi said the team did its due diligence during the draft process, listening to offers from multiple teams, but they never really wavered on their belief. Cam Ward was worth passing on all of those offers. Head coach Brian Callahan explained they first fell in love with Ward's football acumen, his quick processing and his size and his athleticism. But then they fell in love with his intangibles. He said Ward's work ethic is top-notch and he maintains a chip on his shoulder. To that end, Ward was asked Thursday night after he was drafted how he would celebrate the night. His answer was simple: get some sleep and head to Nashville to join his new team.
Obviously, Darlington on Ward and not with Ward, but we will hear from him shortly. Ward becomes the 5th player to lead the nation in touchdown passes and then be drafted first overall in the following draft. First was John Elway in '83, followed by fellow Hurricane Vinny Testaverde in '87. David Carr went to the Texans in '02, and then Joe Burrow 5 years ago after that massive season at LSU. Here's Ward now.
Cam is super, super talented. He is a guy who can do all the things that you want a quarterback to do at the NFL level.
Florida, spin out of the sack, crossbody, seed.
Ward able to spin free and then goes to the end zone. Cam Ward's having himself a day.
I did it again versus Louisville. They thought I couldn't do it twice.
Back in the end zone, look at that throw. How about Cam Ward and that arm talent?
The play versus Virginia Tech, rock out of sack.
There's pressure. Ward ducks away.
I've been doing those plays since UIW. Those plays are second nature to me.
Ward, always at the ready, extending the play, and now downfield, touchdown. That is how Cam Ward does it.
Changing launch points, getting outside the pocket, rolling right or left, changing arm angles.
Ward takes a shot down the sideline. He's got Restrepo.
He can execute the RPO game.
And Arroyo gets into the end zone.
He reminds me of Patrick. He reminds me of Mahomes. And that's what you want when you're talking about the first overall pick. You want a guy who has no limitations. And quite honestly, he doesn't have any limitations.
At the end of the day, that's how Tom Brady made his money in the league. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get on his level.
Đóng cửa vào cho nó chưa. Muốn mua sắm shipper không gọi được. Chào cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Vòng hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là nước khoáng. Hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tên là nước cất. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu làm nha.
Mở cửa nó có sóng không chị anh nhỉ? Như là shipper nó đang xác định nhà nơi rồi. Mà giờ các bạn không có sóng. Tận loài đi. Nó ship Suzuki đâu phải lên ở đây. Chắc là 1 giờ 2 giờ mới gọi anh nhỉ anh. Đấy, còn đấy. Đấy còn nhiều mà. Còn cái nước chấm này. Thằng này là không muốn ăn chậm nữa.
Màu trắng nha.
Không trồng, không có tôm.
Không được kêu em.
Kia.
Giờ xem mặt cậu.